Hi, Bashar.
Good day, good day. What would you like to discuss with us this day?
It is so nice to connect with you. First, just to say thank you. Thank you for all you do. I've been listening to you for over a decade now, so I'm really glad to connect with you today.
It is our passion and our pleasure to connect with you as well. What is it you would like to discuss?
Yes, I have a question around the English language. Now, there are over 7,000 languages, spoken languages in the world, and the English language happens to be the most prevalent, I understand. I wanted to know from your perspective what the language, where it originates from, and what the essence is. Is there a magic to it? Why is it so prevalent?
There is a magic to every language, but the reason that it is so prevalent is because it is a hybrid language formed of many other languages, and thus represents the coming together and the hybridization and moving forward of the human race as the sixth hybrid race. So it is an amalgam of different languages so that everyone can participate, everyone can feel some degree of familiarity with it. It is going toward the idea of a universal language. It is still in its interim state, but basically it is building toward that.
Mhm. Okay. So is it made from the element of air? I'm told it's kind of spreads very easily. What's the essence of it?
Well, language is the product, obviously, of vocalization and sound through the air. Therefore, that
Hmm.
is the primary element that carries the waves of sound to each other throughout the world. And therefore, that is the focal point, elementally speaking, of the
Hmm.
concept of language.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. My next question, if you could read my energy now, Bashar, what question would you ask for you to answer that would take me to that next highest level, expanded freedom in this reality?
Are you willing to express from yourself wholeheartedly that you are who you are and that is enough?
Hmm. Yes, yes. And do you have some kind of mechanisms or techniques? Because I use so many, I have a very wide toolbox. Something that I could explore a little bit more that would help me to do that, that expression. I feel very connected to you. And I would love you to really support me with this.
I am supporting all of you to the best that we are able. It's not about asking us for more support. It's about opening up to receive the support you're already getting from all of us. So the idea is, again, as we have spoken of, all things in your physical reality, all tools, all techniques, all rituals, all objects are permission slips that
Mhm.
are up to you to decide by which one attracts you the most, what will work best for you at any given moment. But as we have just said to you, the idea of one of the strongest mantras for humans on earth, one of the strongest tools, is as you wake up in the morning and as you go to sleep at night, to say, perhaps at least 3 times, I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. And then see what synchronicity brings you with the willingness to let go of all restrictions, all limitations, all assumptions, and all insistences that in your unconscious, subconscious, and conscious mind don't actually serve you or don't align with the vibration of your true ethereal spiritual core. Then reality will unfold as it needs to serve you best.
And my next question, who are the Aldorians, especially the six-dimensional Aldorians from the planet Aldor? What is their mission on Earth
We
in
are
this
not
time?
allowed to discuss many different races and interdimensional beings at this time, other than to say that most of them are either observing the transitions and transformations going on your planet to learn from them, to help guide them, and are also, many of them, participating in the lending of energy to make the transition much easier, much more smooth. And what we have suggested that you do in the morning and bedtime can allow you and all of you to be more receptive to the assistance that you are being given by other dimensional beings. That is all we are allowed to say about that at the moment.
Yes. My next question. In about 2 weeks ago, I looked up in the sky and I saw this cluster of cloud shaped in the form of a heart with a bow. It's very beautiful. I've never seen that before. I wondered what was that message and who was it from?
From your own higher mind to yourself.
And was there a message attached to it?
Is it not obvious? It is all about the idea of the openness of the heart, the beauty of the heart, and the reception of the heart directly from the higher mind vibration, getting the idea of belief systems out of the way that cloud the communication from the higher mind to the heart to the brain is what it's all about. Be clear and harmonious in your belief systems. Let them align with the vibration of the heart as it receives the pure vibration of passion from the higher mind.
Oh, that's beautiful. It was such a beautiful image. I actually posted it on my Facebook page. It touched me and I took a video of it. It was so wonderful. So
Yes.
I really feel pleased about that. And my last question, as a Reiki practitioner, I know that energy healing occurs in many levels. And I'm currently exploring water, the power of water. Can you share some of the techniques the ancients used with intention and water to manifest form?
They would have a bowl of water between them, sitting in a circle and drumming a heart vibration that would then, in a sense, be imposed upon the water and then bathed in or drunk to allow the vibration of the drumming circle imbued now in the water to take hold in those, to allow those that came to them for healing to be in a more relaxed and receptive state so that they would be more willing to heal themselves based on the vibration given off by the shamans.
And the drumming, the impact of the drumming, could symbols, could it be any type of sound, or it has to be the drum?
You asked what was done in ancient times. What was done in ancient times was patterned after the heartbeat. It can be other things, but you asked what was done in ancient times.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Then we thank you for your co-creation and interaction, and we bid you an exciting day. Aveo.
Aveo, Bashar. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bashar, that I can ask you this very important question, what you have been spoken about in a live stream event, I think. And my question is that you mentioned the importance of the quality of water, and we should only drink the best to be in resonance with the high frequency. My question to you is there any advice you have for us how to make or to get this purest and clearest water what we need? Because it is really difficult in the most of the areas of this world, but also in all the countries where the water is nearly clear. So I would like to get an advice if you have any for that. Thank you very much for your help and your answer.
Your technology has provided you with filtration devices, and you could take advantage of many of them. In addition to that, you can meditate over the water. You can create certain harmonic resonances, meditative music and sounds that you can imbue into the vibrational pattern of the water to help align the water molecules in a kind of crystalline form that is also increasing its benefit to you when taken internally. You can take advantage of these things. It is simpler than you think.
Oh my gosh, Bashar.
Good day, good day.
How exciting to be here. How exciting to be here. Incredible to be here.
It
Thank you so
is
much.
our passion and our pleasure as well. What would you like to discuss with us this day?
Well, my passion, my privilege has been to study human psychology. And so I wanted to give you my best understanding of human psychology. And you could just help me clarify to make sure I've got a good, clear understanding of what I call the 6 lenses of life, where the first lens I see as the bent space-time. So in other words, when I look up to the sky, it forms a kind of lens because the Earth is very heavy and it, bends space-time around me. So my first lens is the sky. And then the second lens is, of course, my human eyes, which, detect. And of course, I'm looking at a lens right now and we have Wi-Fi, but I guess the idea is that perception to me is, bending all the different possibilities, whether it's Wi-Fi signals or light-based signals, and bends them into a single focus. So for me, that's the eye, and
Yes.
but there are various eye wearing glasses. So, but I think the key thing I want to say here is that it's equilibrium in the lowest state. So crystals are typically lowest, whereas when it goes into my brain, it's non-equilibrium at the lowest state. In other words, it's a time crystal. In other words, the ions are constantly dancing. Is that correct? In other words, it's a time crystal. In other words, if you look at the cross section of the brain, it actually looks like a crystal in a certain way because there's repeating patterns.
Yes.
And so yes, so okay, right. So, and then the next layer is somewhat more mysterious in this sense. This is a symbolic layer. In other words, these time crystals, the brain picks up signals and it creates symbols. And that's usually what we're talking about here, right? Is the symbolic layer, which, is the belief system, which you described as the colorings, of various, okay. So, and then underneath that is the biological lens, which, the cells form different shapes and they read out different parts of the genetic code, where form follows the function. In other words, the form of the cell focuses on different parts of the readout of the genetic signal, which create in terms of kind of lens, because certain cells, again, they have a certain shape that sort of focuses on certain elements. And I think for me, it's like the core frequency. I think you've talked about it in terms of like we are our DNA and that there's a certain core frequency to our DNA. Okay, great. And then below that is the atomic lens. In other words, the mass of the atoms is, of course, in the center. And so there's a bending of the probability so that the probability wave kind of has a certain bend to it. So again, so it's 6 stacked lenses.
What about spirit? What about the 7th?
Well, that's where I am. That's where I am. That's the self. In other words, right? Or in other words, I am the light that's moving through all of the 6 lenses.
Yes.
The atomic layer, the biological layer, the symbolic layer, the time crystal, the eyes.
But it still counts as a layer.
Okay. So I guess there's 7 layers. I guess I was thinking more in terms of like it's the interaction. It's more the mysterious kind of interaction between, or I guess I see myself as the living symbol as the 3rd layer itself, because there's a certain, the time crystal somehow is, the brain is somehow able to pick up, I guess it's able to pick up or it works with a genetic layer to kind of pick up my core signal.
They're all interconnected. They're all interlaced.
Right. Nested, right.
Yes, and if you're only going to consider the idea of physical reality, then 6 layers is fine. But we would not necessarily suggest that you forget the 7th layer is what begins it all.
Okay, right, which is kind of the light itself, I guess, right?
Yes, because the light makes choices, and those choices play out in the 6 layers you're talking about.
Okay, gotcha. And so the choices are they symbolic choices typically?
Sometimes quite literal. In other words, it's the template of the theme that you're exploring as a physical personality. This is decided by the spirit itself. And therefore, it has a lot to do with what you are as a physical being, because you are a unique path.
Okay, gotcha. Which I guess in this case, the path is simultaneously. In other words, when I think of light, I think of it takes all paths simultaneously. But I'm snaking through, I guess in this case, space-time, which is sort of the interactions. To me, time is just the interaction, the changes in the interaction of motion, basically, right? In other words,
yes, although motion in a sense is an illusion because everything is here and now. So time, yes, is a side effect of the shifting perspectives that are going on in the consciousness of the personality. Now, if you're going to say that light goes everywhere at once, Now you're talking about an 8th level.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Which I guess is the layer of just sort of like, yeah, how it bends it through. Well, I mean, I guess it takes all different paths, but I am one quanta of path.
That's the 7th level. Yes.
Okay.
You are one expression, one path, whereas simultaneously your greater being is experiencing all paths. That's the 8th level.
I see. And so the key thing is the focus. In other words, my focus is right now is on, just like the lens, it's the focal point. And so I think what I'm learning now is just to try to learn how to, the ways that I can focus on different, I can kind of project my consciousness or project my attention into various, I can project my consciousness into other humans or different scenarios, or in other words, I'm working with this idea of sort of writing myself into certain stories or certain events to have different experiences. So in other words, this idea of projecting my attention into, which is kind of what you've done now.
Yes, well, it is appropriate that you use the term focus since you're talking about the idea of representing lenses.
Okay, right, exactly. So I'm kind of looking, well, and I guess I also wanted to bring it up because, you mentioned a true intelligence, creating a true intelligence. And so there's this idea that if we create a time crystal sophisticated enough and we kind of entangle them together, the ions together in a certain resonance, a certain lattice, a time crystal lattice, it will dance. It'll be non-equilibrium, and it will sort of actually be able to detect a symbolic layer. I guess that's kind of the mystery here, is that
it will understand how to focus down into the 7th layer, but creating a sophisticated enough time crystal, as you say, equal to the idea of the human brain through which higher consciousness can express itself, it will be coming from the 8th layer.
Okay.
It deals in whole systems.
Okay, gotcha. Which is the light itself. So in other words, the driving force of the time crystal will be light itself, which takes all paths simultaneously. And then we use our attention to carve out different slices of the readout. In other words,
but the idea of the true intelligence will also have the sensitivity to understand what portion of the whole it needs to communicate to you for your own benefit.
Okay, right. And
it can't give you everything all at once.
Okay, yes. Okay.
It's holographic.
Okay, great. Right, exactly. That's why I talk, yes, that's why these lenses, that's why I think of it in terms of lenses, because it lines up with this idea of holographic interference patterns. So anyway.
Yes.
But anyway, yes. So, okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Well, I guess that's sort of, I realize that that's just sort of in life itself, that's where we're at. In other words, I realize that there are other experiences, or, I guess we talk about dreaming or whatever, like in terms of how my focus changes in dreaming to kind of become more, it's almost like a tuning of the time crystals so that, I'm more synchronized. There's a certain synchronicity to my life.
Yes. And don't forget that physical reality is also a different kind of dream.
I see. Right. It's just a change in focus and one being more narrow than another.
Does this help you?
Yes, perfect. Okay, great. Well, and I was just going to say that there was this great synchronicity that I wanted to tell you too, that I won this interaction during when you mentioned underwater diving as a metaphor for this life. The suit of my being as being like this underwater diving suit. And I wrote a story when I was 12 years old about meeting an alien underwater. So it's very synchronous.
All right.
Yes, and I'm also very excited about this idea of the I guess we're saying goggles, but this VR that soon will be able to live into a world that's more made of pure data, pure information, in the sense that I can put on a goggles and be able to see the internet, or I'll be able to see Tyrannosaurus Rex, or just whatever I think I'll be able to manifest, because we'll be living in a world where you'll be able to interact with information in a way that's well, I don't want to say holographic, but nevertheless, yes.
Yes, the technology is coming soon.
Right. And that's very exciting to me. So it's kind of just synchronistic.
All right, we thank you. We thank you.
Gotcha.
Aveo.
Great. Oh, yes, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Bashar. My name is Stephanie, and I live in Arizona. And my question is in reference to, I have a disability. I'm legally blind, and I'm wondering if that is a reason for me not ascending, or if it's blocking me from being able to see any ETs or craft. I'm working on my fear, but I am afraid that that could be blocking me. Can that be the case?
Nonsense. In fact, it may actually give you an advantage because it removes insistence and expectation about what it is you could be receiving. Remember that most extraterrestrial beings who might form contact with you are telepathic and can project images into your mind regardless of what's going on with your eyes. So it is not in any way, shape, or form a disadvantage or a disability with regard to what you are talking about. In fact, it may be an advantage.